Well, hello, all my in-demand listeners. Today, we are going to be talking with one of my students from In-Demand Signature Speech, Renee Cooper, to share about her experience. He actually is a speaker. She's been speaking not only for a company, but also now more recently for herself. And she joined the program. And so I wanted to bring in her so that she could share her experience and her perspectives with all of you. And if you are a coach, a consultant, or a service provider, you are in the right place. This is the podcast that is all about how to leverage public speaking events, because when you are the booked speaker, both in person and virtual, you are positioned as the expert, attract the most perfect clients, and you get to monetize your story. So let's get on to the interview. Renee, welcome to the show. And thank you so much for, coming onto the show and just sharing with the audience, because I already did the intro and shared with the little secret that you are one of my students inside In-Demand Signature Speech. And I'm always flattered when somebody who has speaking experience comes into the program. Could you tell the audience who you are, what you do?
Awesome. Well, hi everyone. And Lori, I have to tell you, I was stalking you for quite a while.
Ooh, you were inside the speaker circle.
I was in many of your speaker circles, and when I was looking for someone that I could learn from, there was just something about the way your calmness and your ability to share information in such a way that didn't have this, like spectacular effects that many of these speakers have. Like, oh, come join my thing. I don't know. There's just something about you and who you are, and I learned a lot from you, and I continue to learn a lot from you. So who am I? I am Renee Cooper. I am a speaker, and I had a client call me a life-changing speech coach. So, okay, life-changing speech coach. But I also refer to myself as a leadership, communication, and speech empowerment coach. And what do? I help individuals in all industries and all titles, from executives to people in different complex industries, learn how to stop sounding so scripted and less rehearsed. Because even at the very top, people know their stuff and they just can't wait to get it out in a professional way. Well, guess what? They're losing traction with the audiences that need to see a different part of who they are. So I help people connect more and present less. And in the process, I help them step into new boxes to discover new parts of who they really are.
I have to say that I was one of those people years ago when I first came into the speaking world, because I was speaking about leadership, and leadership is very professional and it's very serious stuff. And so I
Very
wore
serious.
the suit and showed up what I call this flat personality. You just couldn't feel who I was. And I had friends of mine who were fellow speakers just say to me when we're at conferences, we're hanging out, he's like, "Why can't you be like this on stage?" I was like, "Oh, you can't do that. I speak on leadership." It took me a long time to learn that. And I would say when I ditched the suit, because the suit just wasn't me, when I ditched the suit, that's when more of my personality started to show up. But still, it is a process. So to find, if I could have found somebody like you years ago, would have saved me a whole lot of aggravation.
I love that. And I've heard you say that numerous times of ditching the suit. Why? Because it wasn't you.
Yeah.
And that, I feel, is the very essence of what so many people are running around being. They're being the perception of who they need to be, or the expectation of who they need to be. And therefore, many people have so much fear of speaking because they go, well, I'm not that. And if I'm not that, that means I'm not great at it. Either I am or I'm not. And then that starts the vicious cycle. So,
So true. So true. And then as coaches, because you and I are coaches and we help people do this, imagine, being one way on a stage, and then you get inside somebody's program or you hire them for one-on-one work and there's somebody very different. There's that disconnect, who is this? So I always want to be the same person on and off the stage.
absolutely, 100%. And that's something that I had to learn for myself, when I was being vulnerable and starting to show up as myself, I knew that people could see through me as a speaker and see my true, am I being salesy? I don't like the word authentic anymore, but I'll get to that another time. But
Yeah,
I
it's a little
wanted to be,
overused.
yeah, and you helped me learn that too. And I knew that I had to be the real me, whether you like me or not. And that's one of the things I got excited about. I had a client who said to me, I watched you here, I watched you there, I watched you there. It was the same. And I'm like, aha, imagine if you can have that. Imagine if you could show up that way in front of your employees, your clients, your whoever you're pitching to, like, poof, what a concept, huh?
Yes. Okay, so because I brought you on here because I want to share with people, I want people to see
Yes, yes,
through
yes.
somebody else's experience what in-demand signature speech is like. What compelled you to join? I mean, you were a
So
speaker.
yes. So
Yeah.
yes. Right. So right. I've been a speaker for 15 years in my industry in corporate fundraising. And then I had a pause to try to figure out what I want to do. And once I figured out what I wanted to do, I had joined some courses that really helped me catapult me into the online space to start teaching master classes and get out there. And that started like a surge for my coaching practice. But what happened was I was all over the place with my actual talk. And I knew that if I wanted to be positioned as someone who's an expert and as someone that can really help a lot of people, I better get like fine tuning. I better get onto the right radio station as to what my talk is going to look like and sound like. And what I have been listening to all of your episodes, it was starting to resonate for me that I can't be an educator in these audiences. Like, I can't give everything away. Then just hire me as a teacher. But that's not my focus. So when I started hearing you talk about you want to learn how to be a marketer through your talk, I knew that you were onto something that I needed. I needed the key to figure out how does this speech even, what does it even look like? Like, what is it supposed to look like? And because for me, I'm a very visual learner and I need to be connected with people. I couldn't learn from just, a YouTube video how to write an authentic speech. I knew I needed to dissect each and every part. And that's one of the things that I loved when you had offered what it's going to look like. So it's visually, it's like in a container, it's in its own container. This is what this part looks like. This is what this part looks like. Instead of just, let's just write a signature speech. And that's one of the reasons why I joined your course.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And yeah, like in-demand signature speech is written in blocks so that, like you can take your signature speech, your hour-long presentation, and all of a sudden, somebody says, hey, like we want you to come over here and speak for 30 minutes. It's easy for you to take, like readjust the blocks and be like, there you go, there's your speech.
Yeah.
So that you can literally get booked last minute and you don't have to worry like, oh my God, I'm speaking in 3 days because I'm filling in for a speaker that's ill, that an emergency has come up,
Yes. Yes.
and you don't have to worry about like, you don't have to you don't have to look at your schedule and say, I have no time to craft a speech because you already have it done.
Right. And that's one of the things that I needed to get. And I'm so glad that I signed up because I knew that if I had 10 minutes, well, how do I take that signature speech and chop it to 10? Because it has the same format. It's just drilled down. It just looks a different way. And I wasn't getting that from some of the other vehicles that I started looking into. Not vehicles,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Formats.
I
Yeah.
do. And, my obsession with neuroscience is how I crafted that methodology because your audience is going through an experience. And for you to tap into where they are, which is why like each block is very specific to what's happening to the audience, along with giving the meeting planner, like the reason why they're booking you is because they want you to give really good value. But how do you give really good value and at the same time step off the stage to spin off business? And that's
Yeah.
what I want for all of my students and all of my
Yeah.
clients. Yeah.
It's
So speaking of which, how did you like the methodology that I shared?
Um, I liked that like I said, I liked that we focused on one thing at a time
Mm.
because we're in such a fast-paced world, especially those of us coaches that do use systems like AI to support us in fine-tuning our message. Everything is so fast, 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 fast. What I loved about being in your class was that slow it down and start to just analyze each section more. Like, wait a minute, why am I trying to churn this out so quickly? It needs to have some more thought put into it. What do I really want my audience to get from this part of the speech? What is it when I stop speaking? And I love always said that. What do I want my audience to do, hear, think, act when I stop speaking? Poof, there was just a lot of light bulbs that went off, and I'm just excited that I get to train myself in your course again, again, and again, each time that I get hired,
Right, or wanna write a new speech.
right?
And just for the listeners, like she's talking about the goals, there's a foundation module that there's something that you really need to think about before you start writing your speech. And those are to set 2 goals, and one is, what is the goal that you want for your audience when you're done speaking? What is it that they are gonna walk away with, they're gonna feel, they're gonna do? But also at the same time, what's your goal for speaking at this particular event? Because those 2 goals need to become the lens that you start writing this speech through. So every story, does it serve both of those goals? Yes, keep it. No, then you gotta find another story. You gotta find another point. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Was there any particular section that you were like really surprised with?
Yeah, I would definitely say I was surprised with I forgot the name of it, but it was the tree the leg branches, the legs,
The
the one
legs
that had
of the table, the three-legged table.
the
Yes.
three-legged table, and that's something that I still have to remember before I do do any speech, whether I'm practicing. I'm the vice president of my group at Toastmasters, whether I'm practicing my signature speech at Toastmasters or whether I'm just preparing for the next gig that I'm going to be, speaking at. I have to make sure that I'm consistent with the legs of the table and what are the main points that I know I need to embed here. Because we know that less is more. We don't want to give everything away. And that's always the struggle, right? Just want to give it all, but then there's nothing left. There's no indication, not indication. There's no reason, there's no impetus for them to need us any further. And I learned the hard way the first couple of times, right? And that's okay because I was literally like, I was in it as I was doing it. So how interesting is that? That was great for me to be in your course as I was doing it, to be able to now go, okay, I need to be a detective. What went well? What didn't go so well? What do I need to go next? What part of the course do I need to watch again and practice again? So,
And that whole fire hosing when we give too much information. Oh my God. I think like every speaker friend that I
oh
have
my,
has done that at some point. But, like my turning point, my pivotal moment, I mean, like somebody actually said to me, and it was the biggest gift that he could ever give me. He loved what I shared and actually said, "Wow, that was great and so much information, and I don't know where to start," and then walked away. And that's when I realized, "Oh my god, I fire hosed the audience." But thank goodness one person said something to me because there was no spin-off business from that because they were confused on, "Oh my god," and they're confused, they're overwhelmed, they don't know what step 1 is, so what do? We just like, "Let me just go back to the office and I'll just keep doing what I've been doing all this time." Big gift.
I love that. And they see that was a big learning lesson for me, which is why, again, I'm so glad that I started your course as I was speaking. The audience was left, two audiences I spoke to were so enamored and so impressed and like, but they didn't know what to do next. I could tell because there was so much. It was like if you imagine going into a hot air balloon right? And you're going up and like you get to see the whole landscape. It's like, "Oh, which part should I look at first? Should I look at the tulips or should I look at the clouds?" And I knew that I was onto something in that moment because I had a conversation with you. I'm not sure why I didn't have this result and I didn't have that result. And you had asked me some reflective questions that I now know with
Yeah,
hindsight.
I think I remember that those questions. I said, did you breeze over the call to action, or did you really share with them and were passionate about it? And you're like, I think I breezed over it.
And so again, it's all a learning experience.
Yeah.
But without this course, I without it being the way it was set up, again, like we have to know ourselves. For those of us that need to learn through doing and not just watching something and doing it, it needs to be like organic in the moment, alive, real. It was nice to just be able to go back to a certain section, or if you spoke about another section, it was just nice to have hindsight from other sections. I hope that makes
Mm,
sense.
it does. It does to me. What advice would you have for somebody who's like on the fence about in-demand signature speech?
I was on the fence for 20 years before I started my business. There's no more fences. No, really, honestly. There's so many business aspects to speaking, correct?
Yes.
And when I had to take an honest look at how much I don't know, and that's my expression that I use all the time with my clients to support them. I don't know what I don't know. And we repeat it as a mantra. There are to me, three fundamental things that you have to have ironed out if you know that you want to start speaking. You have to have your signature speech. The rest you can learn. You can learn about agreements. You can learn about contracts. You can learn about where do I go to find this opportunity. It's like to me, the reason you start this course this way instead of the other way is because it gives you, like it gave me the confidence. I don't like the word confidence. It gave me more of a, how do I say this? It gave me more of a grounding. I was more grounded to now know I know what I'm speaking on.
Got it. I love
And
that.
once I know what I'm speaking on, now I know how to like barrel out of the races, whatever that
Yeah.
is. I know how to get out of the gate with the horse.
And one of
So
the
that's why.
and I also force you to pick an audience because like as
Yes.
speakers, like we can speak to so many different types of audiences.
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
make
Yes.
you
Yes.
pick like, here's who's in the audience so that you're writing this one speech for them to
Yes.
get
Yes.
the
Yes.
result. And then it's super easy to change it and just modify it for a different type of audience.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing. I would say a lot of people, a lot of us in the world that are in the service business where we need to speak, we're so fixated on finding the right thing. It's like, no, no, no. Pick it first. Make a decision. Make a decision. Of course, you have to be passionate and excited about what you're speaking about. But pick something. Stop this like, well, what is it going to be? And what do I talk about? No, no, no. Let's get laser focused. How do we do that? By choosing, make a decision and run with it. And then that's how we see how it escalates or it deflates. And then we pivot. So I would say that's why people should not be on the fence. I was on the fence too many years of my life. Get off the fence.
Get off the fence. Just get off the fence. Um, how did you like the group setting? Because it's very intimate and I make it intimate intentionally.
I love that because to be honest, some of the other courses that I had signed up for when I made the decision, like this was my life, this was going to be my life's journey. I was with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And to be able to be of support to each other, and everyone's at a different level and everyone's in a different place with their journey. It's just really nice to have other perspectives because you may not have people in your audience with you. But that's a beautiful thing too, because you get different perspectives that aren't just in the speaking world. And I think that's really important to have a full vantage, like a different vantage points from different people. So that's what I liked about it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So what's next for Renee?
So what's next for me is my relaunch of my website, which I'm so stoked about because I had learned from you, Lori, like in our time together, which again, like helped me realize you are the person I need to learn from. You opened my eyes to something that was very pivotal in within my website that I created on my own, that people were just gazing over me because my website didn't articulate and didn't show that I was a speaker. It screamed that I was a coach. So I'm excited to, to see what happens from crystal clear messaging that I know I'm going to have. Um, nothing's perfect in this world when it comes to web creation and as
Balls.
copy and it evolves. So that's what's next. And I'm on the road to being like laser focused about the types of associations that I know need a professional like me and need my message because they need their members to shift their levels of influence. And the only way I can do that is by me being laser focused on the types of associations that would even look, at someone like me. So
I love
that's
it.
next, and what I see exciting for me is I have been it's a new thing for me. I was an employee for the bulk of my life, and entrepreneurship has been a part-time road for 2 years and then full-time 2 years, and so being at home, most of the time if I'm not with clients or networking or speaking, I'm excited about I could see myself, dabbling in I don't wanna travel all year, but I'm excited about getting on a plane and going to a different city because I have such an adventurous, streak in me. I've always been that way. To I could see myself on stages in different parts of the country or the world. So that's what's next for me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you live in such a conference area too. For anybody who's listening, she lives just outside of the Fort Lauderdale,
I
Florida
do.
area,
Yeah.
and lots of conferences there, driving distance to Orlando and Tampa,
Yeah.
so that's
True.
that's super easy for you.
Yeah.
Have you
And
had a chance? I know that we just like graduated just recently from the program when it ended, but have you had a chance to dive into the master class on how to get booked and paid to speak?
I haven't watched it once. I'm gonna watch it again because the way I learn best is when I watch something once, I only take certain things out of it, and the second time when I watch it, that's when I really get to see, I didn't pay attention to that, or, "Oh, that's what I really need to hear." So, yeah, I need to do that again.
Wonderful, wonderful. Then that's, like that's going to help, push you forward also. Renee, thank you so much for sharing everything, coming here on the podcast and sharing your
Welcome.
experience inside In Demand Signature Speech. It was such a joy to have you. And especially because this is like, you're similar to me, like you help people with presentations, bring out, like present without presenting. And so can you share with the audience and everybody who's listening, where can they follow you, find you, and continue to hear from you?
Oh, that's awesome. And thank you again for having me. This is I love just having this exchange of just being honest and real about what this is all like. So you can find me. I'm consistent on social media as Renee Hope Cooper, and an exception for TikTok, which is at Step Into Your Voice.
Right.
Yeah, so
Nice.
LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all Renee Hope Cooper, speaker and coach.
And
And
that's what your web address is, Renee Hope Cooper. No.
my yeah, no, so yeah, so I've been toying around with that with the web designer, Jeremy. I'm keeping it stepintoyourvoice.com because
Good.
I believe people can look for me, they'll find me, but my website is stepintoyourvoice.com because
Love that.
my golly, my whole life I was spent being the advocate to be other people's voices and never knowing that that was the gift that I had. Um, and now it was time for me to give it back. So how do I do that? I help others realize that they need to just step into new boxes through their voice.
Nice. Nice. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lori.